Hell of an intro.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I am, of course, Bad-Tempered Badger, and with me this evening is this chap I found.
This dude. This thing, he was walking across the street, and I said, "Hey, come on my show."
Hey, Neil. Hey, Neil.
Mm-hmm.
Come on my show sometime, you know.
Hey, there we go. I'm on your show.
Oh, fuck you now.
Yeah. Now what do we do?
All right. So, how are you this fine evening?
Well, it's technically it's evening here almost. So I'm doing all right. Yeah, I can't complain. I got a shit ton of laundry I'm supposed to be doing, but I was like, fuck that. I'm going to watch cartoons before I come on here.
It's not technically evening for either of us, I don't think. It's probably still afternoon for you, and it's technically morning for me. So, so let's just say that it's evening if you go with the average.
Okay. We're going to meet in the middle somewhere, and then we got evening.
All right. So I was thinking we might start with, who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, what's your deal then?
What's my deal? Well, my name is Neil, as you can see down there, Neil the 604 Atheist. I do a YouTube channel where I talk to people about why they left religion and the journeys that it took them on, and other ridiculous ideas and topics that come up. So, and then I do the after parties, which are generally a hoot. Other than that, I'm a lab tech or chemist mostly for an environmental company during the day. And I am what they call a champion blood donor. Champion a group of over 230 people that garner over 400 donations easily every single year. And and I drink lots of beer and smoke lots of weed and love hockey. And that's pretty much, I'm your typical Canadian idiot stick. What can I tell you?
Outstanding. Well, I thought I'd start off. Well, actually, I've already started off, so I shall continue by asking you: how did you? What sort of gave you the idea to start doing the deconversion stories, and by extension, the other stuff that you do related to online activities?
Well, from watching, stumbling across all these videos some years back, probably going back 6 or 7 years now, and just watching them over and over, and I kind of. One of the things I think that made me want to do what I do was seeing Seth Andrews talk to people about their deconversions, and I'm quite interested in those those stories. Right, I think they're pretty interesting. Some of them can be inspiring. Some of them can be heartbreaking. Hey! Don't tell me what I am. And I said I could do that, right? And then, of course, watching Godless Engineer, he's always saying, "Yeah, get out there and use your voice." And they kind of put me over that final hurdle, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm starting a channel." So it was right around the time. It was right around the time when those two were when Casey and John were doing their peanut butter drive too. So.
Oh yeah, I do remember the peanut butter drive.
Yeah, which I helped chip in for because I love peanut butter.
I mostly remember that at some point towards the tail end of it, I was doing a collaboration with Not Your Witness, and I got Miss Raccoon to throw peanut butter at him in the video.
Well, yes, I remember that. Yeah, that was pretty funny.
All right. So, I hear you are somehow linked and connected to the Canadian Atheists.
Oh, yes, I am. Technically, my title is community advocate for the Canadian Atheists. So I'm the one that, when we do stuff, I'm one of the ones that puts it together along with Randolph. So, I love you too, Nervardia. My fellow chemist in arms, so to speak.
So tell me a little bit about how the the words are coming out all backwards. Tell me a little bit about what's happening with the Canadian Atheists at the moment.
Right now?
Right at this exact moment.
Hang on. Just let me give Randolph a call and all that. No, I'm just kidding. Right now there's stuff that we're kind of planning. We want to start doing events once or twice a month. We're thinking about throwing like big events like the Faithless Forum or American Atheists where they have a whole bunch of people get together every year and speakers and stuff like that. So we're in planning stages for stuff like that. We might. I have to talk to Thomas and the guys because what I kind of want to do a Faithless Forum Canada, so people can also come up here and get together and stuff like that. So we'll see if we can't manage something like that too. Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
So you are the what was the title again?
Community advocate.
Community advocate. There we go. And Randolph's the mustache, right?
Yeah, he's the mustache. Yes, he is.
Okay.
He's the head honcho, so to speak.
Outstanding.
I think I actually might have.
I do like Randolph. He's a fun guy. I should have him on my channel sometime.
Yeah, he should actually. Yeah, I also have my own company as well, but it's been on hiatus for a while because we're sort of, well, not we anymore. It's just me, but it's this Lifeblood Entertainment thing here. So
interesting.
Yeah, we put on shows like music shows mostly, and in between acts and stuff like that, we try and sign people up to become blood donors and stuff like that. So
nice.
Yeah. One of the shows we did in 2014, we got to play with some seriously cool bands.
Who are we talking there?
Well, The Wild, they're out of Kelowna. And if you look them up, The Wild with an exclamation mark, and one of their best songs, I think, is Roadhouse. So you look that one up on YouTube. It's on there. It's a great tune. And we also worked with Aviator Shades and an old punk band from our area here called Dayglow Abortions. Some of you may have heard of them.
That is an outstanding name.
Yeah, it is. And their drummer is blind. He's a blind drummer. So you set up his kit and he feels where everything is, and then he just starts going ham.
So by memory then?
Yep, he does. He plays by memory. Yeah.
Excellent. What else have I got on my little listy here? Tell us a little bit about your science-related work.
My science-related work? You mean like the stuff that I do in the lab at work?
Yeah, let's go with that. Well, you see, I put in the description. How did I describe you? Let me just
pretend to be a scientist.
Let me just check how I described it. The long-awaited chat is finally here. Come and hear about the friendliest biker-looking science man in Canadia.
Canadia. I love that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your lab-related stuff.
My lab-related stuff. Well, what I do officially at work is I am actually completely in charge of the antifreeze department where I work. Ooh. But in the mornings, when the chief lab guy, the head chemist isn't there, I do all the oil testing. What I do is I use chromatography, sorry, and I test waste oil for PCB contamination. They'll send us little aerochlor samples, and we run them through, and so you get the fingerprint that you're looking for, and then we run samples of oil through and see if it matches the fingerprints, because there's a few different kinds of PCBs. So we got to look for all of them.
Can you say what a PCB is again? Because I think I might have missed it.
PCB is, hang on a second, polycarbon biphenyl or something like that. It's cancer causing.
Okay, so, I see. So it's for detecting the cancer.
Yeah, well, it's the PCBs could cause cancer, so we're allowed up to 2 ppm, which is 2 parts per million.
Okay, so if I've understood this, if I've understood this right, you are there in order to make sure there are as few cancer-causing things in your stuff as possible.
Yes.
Outstanding.
And it's polyphenol bicarbonates or something like that. Anyways. Fucking names always escape me. But anyway, and I also have to check for silicon and yttrium and vanadium and stuff like that, some heavy metals. So we run it through ICAP machine, which is inductively compulsed plasma. and it fires up. Basically, it atomizes the spray and it shoots it through this little plasma flame, and it pops up on the screen. And it's literally like you're looking through a telescope at the stars. And then certain elements will fall on different locations on the light spectrum. So that's what we look for, is the amounts of these heavy metals that are within there. That's only when we ship it down to the US, because they have stricter rules when it comes to used oil.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I understand you're quite keen on giving blood.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Ever since my dad was BC's highest donor, and before he went, by the time he passed away, he did 532 donations. So that's why I started the Partners for Life group, to honor his commitment, and was able to get like almost 200 people in the first year. And it's funny because they asked me how much I think we could do in the first year, and I said, well, you probably break my dad's record. And they kind of gave each other funny looks. They're all like, that's never happened in the entire history of blood donations here in Canada by a single person start a group. So maybe you should aim a little lower and maybe say 50 donations.
Calm it down there, son. Yeah. So how did that go?
It went really well, because after the first year, all the people that I managed to get in there, our total was 681 donations. So I broke my
you did beat the record.
1,240% of my initial pledge of 50 donations. So I got a cake.
Fabulous.
They made a cake. They brought it out, and I got to be on the news again because of this. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, it's atheist ant. It is a kind of a form of spectroscopy. Yes, the ICAP, anyways. Yeah. I also make antifreeze too. We collect. Oh, hi, Sassy, or India, as you're calling yourself now. I also make antifreeze from recycled antifreeze. Like, we take waste and it goes through high heat distillation and comes out clear glycol. Nobody's ever been able to match the standards that we've come up with our machines, because they're top secret. So yeah, we just had a tour go through today of people that are trying to do something similar, and when they saw our clear product that we get out of the machines, they're just like, how the fuck do you do that? How do you get it so clear? and without the smell too, because a lot of waste antifreeze can have a really terrible smell. So and my boss was just like, that's a secret. So
you can't go giving away the secret formulas.
That's right.
By the way, what's the secret formulas?
And there's no secret formula. It's basically distilled water or deionized water, the chemical add packs for the specific types of antifreeze. Like, some are for diesel applications, some are a global type, which will work in almost anything, and then we've got the standard green universal stuff, and each of them have their own chemical formulas. So a lot of them are low silicates and stuff like that, or nitrates and nitrites and stuff. They have to be quite low, because they can be quite damaging to the engine, causing pitting and stuff like that. So we could geek over chemistry. Yeah, one of these days I'd be down for that for sure. Mind you, keep in mind, I don't have like the education you have, Nervardi. I basically was.
You just do it.
I aced my chemistry all throughout high school and stuff like that, and then everything that I do at work, I went and learned how to do. So it's basically how I ended up doing it. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And then I make the antifreeze, and then I have to test it for like pH levels, reserve alkalinity, glycol percentages, stuff like that.
All right. Now, I have a very important question for you.
Okay.
Star Wars or Star Trek? I
like them both.
Good answer. Same here.
I'm a big sci-fi in general fan. I mean, I like Star Wars. I like Star Trek. I like the old Battlestar Galactica. I like the new Battlestar Galactica. I like Babylon 5. I liked Doctor Who. Everything. All of it.
Outstanding.
Red Dwarf, because it's fucking hilarious.
I do like a bit of Red Dwarf.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If I lean this way, I'm looking at the box set.
You see what Atheist Dan put there? It says that your lamp looks like it's dripping antifreeze. That's my special formula too. It keeps recycling like that. You see?
Oh, excellent. Well, I do love a good antifreeze lamp.
Mm-hmm.
Now, India says Neil never shows up on my channel. Well, I have the secret to solve that problem. All you have to do,
you bribe me with bacon.
Keep saying to him, you should come on my channel for about 6 months.
Give or take, yeah.
Eventually, he'll come on your channel.
I didn't know she wanted me on her channel, so that's kind of a news to me, right? So,
all right. What else we got here? So, on the Star Wars topic,
mm-hmm.
and I understand you like a bit of the old Star Wars.
Oh yeah, of course. I stood in line when the very first one came out, man, back in 1977.
Okay, so let's start off with, what is your favorite Star Wars story?
For me, it's kind of a toss-up between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back.
Interesting.
Those two are my favorites, personally.
And favorite character?
My favorite character, I think, I remember being a kid and always wanting to be Han Solo. So there you go. And now I look more like now I look more like Chewie. So there you go.
Can you do the Chewie voice there?
Yeah, well, sort of, I guess. At work they call me Jewy because I used to be a Jew.
Yep.
So I'll be in my lab going, shut up, Jewy.
All right. Now, to look at things from the other perspective, what would you say is your favorite Star Trek series?
My favorite, the original, hands down.
Oh, you like a bit of character, yeah.
Oh yeah,
the Kirk era.
I love the just the pure cheesy of it, and the characters. They're just like Bones and Spock's relationship. I just love that stuff. I eat it up, man. Well, my mom used to tell me, I don't remember this, although I kind of have vague memories, but whether or not they're real is another question. But I do remember watching it as a little, like, 3-year-old kid when it first came out, and my mom said it was impossible to pull me away from the TV when that show came on. As soon as the music started playing, I was like crawling out into the living room and watching and stuff. So,
moving away from the Star Wars Star Trek dichotomy for a minute, but let's keep on the topic of fiction for a little while.
Sure.
What do you have a favorite film?
A favorite film in general?
Just in general, if that's not too huge a question, you know.
Well, it's tough because I like lots of movies, right? So, I'm gonna have to say, I think one of the ones that affected me, I think the most when I went and saw it in the theater, that literally made me jump back a couple of rows every other scene, was Aliens. I really like that.
The second one, are we talking about?
Correct. Yeah, I never did see the first one in the theater.
No,
but I saw it obviously afterwards. But yeah, the second one, I really, really like that. Yeah, on Shuff, everyone says that. And here's the thing: it doesn't matter.
It's critically important that Han shot first.
But it was self-defense. Come on.
Yeah, it was self-defense.
Yeah, he saw Greedo going for his gun, so he took the opportunity, and that was it.
You see, the thing with that scene is it's critical to the character because it demonstrates that while Han Solo is fundamentally a good character, he's also quite ruthless and
bastard.
and he doesn't play by the sort of your classic honourable rules of pistols at dawn. He'll shoot you under the table.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I kind of in the Solo movie, which a lot of people ripped it apart. I thought it was all right, but I think my favorite scene out of that is when he met Chewie in that little dungeony area. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. See, I enjoyed that film.
I did too, to be honest.
I have issues with it in terms of, as I'm sure you know, because I have mentioned this all over the place.
A few times.
Any of the Disney Star Wars things, I am constantly there going through it, just going, no, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. You've ignored all the expanded universe stuff, that you got all this wrong. But that one, at least when I watched it, I enjoyed it. And I really appreciated the guy playing Lando. I thought he did a really good job. Yes,
me too. Have you ever read the book, what was it, Tales of the Cantina? I think it's called.
I've read bits of it, but I haven't got the whole thing.
It's one of my favorites because it talks about the characters that you see in the cantina scene, and it tells all their stories.
Oh yeah.
What they were doing before, during, and after that exact scene. So when you read that book and then you go watch that scene again, it completely changes it. Because you know what everyone in that scene is doing.
All the background characters now have a story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I thought it was a really well done book. What? That's exactly the one I was just talking about. What? Yeah, I liked Rogue One too. I thought that was all right, and it was kind of a neat tie-in to the first Star Wars, A New Hope, because we didn't really know what was going on. We just heard about this Rogue One thing going on.
I really enjoyed Rogue One.
Me too.
And I thought they did. It's one of the only Disney ones where I can sort of unreservedly watch it and say, yeah, they did a good job here.
I would agree.
However, that's not how they got the Death Star plans in the expanded universe.
But is the expanded universe actually considered canon?
No, not currently. But I don't consider Disney canon, so
you probably want to fire your canons at Disney sometime.
Yeah. Pre-Disney, it was debatably canon. George Lucas wavered on the topic. His later statements on it kind of implied, nah, I will take elements from it and do what I like. Yeah. But earlier statements and the Star Wars Story Group's statements implied that it was always considered to be sort of a continuation of the universe of the films. But for me, the expanded universe is what kept me involved in Star Wars for decades. Whereas the films, I watched them, they were awesome. Mm-hmm. And then the books were there, and I would just read and reread Star Wars books for literally decades.
Yeah. I think the first one I saw was one called The Mind's Eye, which immediately follows the original New Hope or whatever. It talks about some really weird stuff that ended up not being the case anyways. But yeah. I mean, you're talking about fans writing stories based on that. You're going to get all kinds of wild stories, and there were a lot.
Yep.
I kind of want to read the other one that goes along with that, Tales from the Cantina. It's the Tales of the Bounty Hunters, because that's a pretty good one too, and I haven't found it yet. So
I'll recommend you like an entire list if you want.
These days, though, I don't really have enough time to read shit. Like I do from time to time, obviously, but
well, on the topic of reading, do you have a favorite book?
A favorite book? That's a good question.
I should mention mine's probably a Star Wars book.
There are actually two, but they are of the same series. Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of horror books, so I think my two favorites are Clive Barker's Books of Blood. Mm-hmm. Chapters 1 through 3, and then chapters 4 through 6, where all the different stories that revolve around the initial scene of the ghosts that are writing their stories on this guy who becomes like a human paper.
Okay.
And each of them tell their tale, and the stories are the tales that they're writing on this guy's skin.
So the sort of the in-universe explanation is all the stories they wrote on him are then put in this book.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they carve him into him, so that's why it's called the Books of Blood, because basically.
Yep, that sounds uncomfortable. Interesting. Okay. What else have I got written on my piece of paper here that I wrote on the toilet?
I also really liked, I think the very first Stephen King book I ever read was The Dark Tower. I thought that was a pretty good one, too.
Oh.
The movie was utter fucking shit, but don't bother with the movie.
All right. So another question related to that. And I've forgotten it, so we'll move on to the next one on my piece of paper. Do you have a person that you would that you most want to meet?
Wow.
I know it's me, but someone other than me.
Fuck. Well, then I can't think of anyone else now, Badger. I do, but it's not going to happen. It cannot happen because he's dead.
Okay. I wonder if I know who this is, but go
on. You might. Christopher Hitchens is somebody I thought
it would be. I thought it would be Hitchens.
And the other one
is high on my list actually as well.
And the other one that I also wanted to meet forever is also dead, and that would be Stephen Hawking. And Carl Sagan. But see, all three of them are dead.
Well, stop picking dead people, Neil.
That's all I see. I see dead people.
Yeah. Okay. If you had to pick a living person, who do you reckon?
Who'd I like to meet this living? I think there's a few folks that I think would be cool to meet. I've met lots of people that I've wanted to meet. So like musicians that I love, like drinking beer with Eddie Vedder was pretty cool. Having muffins with Ozzy Osbourne was pretty fucking cool. However, I think I'd love to meet Neil deGrasse Tyson. He'd be really cool. And Bill Nye the Science Guy. I'd fucking love to party with that guy.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. And I remember him from, he used to be, he's from Seattle originally, or he worked for Boeing. And he was on a show as an occasional cast member called, the show was called Almost Live. And it was kind of like a West Coast version of Saturday Night Live, where they do sketch work, comedy, and stuff like that. And he played a character that just fucking cracks me up called Speed Walker Man. And he chased down criminals while he was speed walking, right? So, and there's this one episode where he's trying to catch the two guys that came down to steal the Stanley Cup and bring it back to Canada. He's speed walking, chasing these guys, right? And some other funny ones is the Billy Kwan Kung Fu stuff that they did the spoofs of, and you can find those. It's Mind Your Manners with Billy Kwan, and you can find them on YouTube. There's some pretty funny ones. But yeah, that's where I first saw Bill Nye. It was a Speedwalker guy. It was Bill Nye the Science Guy. And that's where he came up with that sort of thing. And then, of course, Disney found him and they kind of roped him in, and because he would do little experiments on Almost Live. And, of course, on Almost Live, being a comedy show, they would kind of go awry sometimes.
Oh, right? Yeah. Well, the thing with Bill Nye that I kind of enjoy is he's gone a little bit angry recently, and he's appearing on all the sort of late night talk shows talking about the climate. And you see him there. He starts off doing his Bill Nye the Science Guy kind of routine. He's there, as you see from this experiment, and he's just there with the globe on the table, and he sets the globe on fire. It's like, we're all fucked. You know?
Yeah. I've seen him do that. He just brings up the little acetylene torch. He's like,
okay, this is one I thought you might enjoy. What would you say is the most interesting object currently within arm's reach of you?
That's kind of a cool question. Let me have a little look. The most interesting object?
Preferably one that you can bring to you.
Well, you said within arm's reach, so that
Yeah.
shouldn't be a problem.
Well, if you start bringing like the roof or something, then we'll have problems.
Dude, where I live, they're 12-foot ceilings, so there's no way I'm reaching up there.
That's not in arm's reach. Okay.
No.
Fair enough.
The most interesting thing within arm's reach.
Make you big a sec.
I've been embiggened. I don't fucking know. There's nothing really interesting. Okay. How about this?
You're always there with plutonium or whatever on your shelves.
Yeah, you're right. I usually always have.
You're there on your show, just like, oh, it's, as you're talking about nuclear physics, I just happen to have this reactor over here.
It's a homemade fusion reactor. We got these it's neat because I've heard about these things for a long time. I kind of always wanted one. It's a flashlight with a radio, and it's the kind that doesn't have batteries. You have to.
Oh, the white one.
Yeah, and I always thought that was kind of cool. See, there you go. Woo! Woo! Neil, fuck, turn off the light, you prick. But yeah, so that was kind of cool. And wait a second, now I can't turn it off. Wait, God damn it! Oh, there we go.
I've been meaning to get one of those to put in like a survival pack.
Well, this was like a stocking stuffer from my company, GFL, on one of the Christmas parties that we had. Yeah, and they're not cheap either. I mean, they look like cheap, but they're
they do look like they're cheaply made. But then you
$30.
Yeah.
So yeah, I always thought that was kind of an interesting little gadget. And the other interesting thing that I haven't reached is my old PSP down there.
Ooh.
Yeah, I still have that sucker too. Yeah, right. Hang on, just. It tells you the last time I took it off.
That with everything on my shelves.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And you know what's funny is I got this fucking thing sitting right here too. So
a little Swiffer.
And this thing, I'll never sell this thing because it was the original game thing there, and then you got your little case with the games in them. And
I actually have up in my cupboard over there. Up in my cupboard over there, I have my original Game Boy.
Cool.
I don't think it works, but I have it.
Let's see what games I got in here. I got the Family Guy game.
Oh.
Yeah, I've got the X-Men Legends or whatever. I got Marvel Nemesis. I've got there's more games, but they're in another container somewhere.
When did this device originally come to you?
Oh, I bought this in 2000, somewhere around there. I think it's been a while, man. I've had the sucker for a long time.
All right.
Got the little pouchy case for it, so. But I have this gigantic metal case, so it doesn't really need the pouchy case unless I take it out of there.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, here's one.
What brand of the cigar is Badger smoking?
These are special bramble cigars made from the local flora, because as a magical badgery creature, I have to have the right kind of smokables.
So you make your cigars out of wild plants, do you? Do they happen to have the egg leaf and then leaves like this?
Well, let me answer that question by saying yes, I do make my cigars out of wild plants. Okay. Just a second. Where's that question gone? There it is. Rory apparently has 2 questions for Neil. What are they?
It's 2 over my daily limit, actually. Just kidding. What the hell's Corfe Castle?
Yep, I remember that, Rory. They were very nice waffles, thank you.
Were they blueberry? Because I like blueberry waffles.
All right. Anyone has questions for Neil? Please put them in the chat because I've literally walked off the bottom of my list.
Now we're just flying off the seat of our pants here.
Yeah, I wrote this list on the toilet about 5 minutes before we went live, so it's pretty shit, really.
Well, what do you expect when you're sitting on the shitter?
I didn't steal that line from Neil at all.
I'm actually quite sad at the moment because
what's wrong?
I'm all out of weed.
Oh
My weed bag is empty. It needs a refill so I can roll a doobie.
Oh, here's a question for you.
What's that?
Nerdy Rodent. I know Americans don't have electric kettles, but does the same go for Canadian instruments?
Electric kettles? You mean like a plug-in kettle? Yeah, I got one outside. It's actually kind of cool because the base platform is what you plug in and you stick it on top of it and it heats up.
Ah, so you're not one of these terrible heathens that heats their water in the microwave?
Fuck no.
Good Lord.
I mean, I
bloody Americans.
I have done it out of just sheer convenience at the time, once or twice, but I much prefer the old school way.
If you absolutely have to, it's kind of okay, but let me put it this way: if I was to tell my dear old grandmother that the Americans heat their water in the microwave, she'd be there, sort of clutching her heart. Just, they do what?
Well, there's nothing wrong with it, really, but yeah, I've always it was a habit that I've had since I was a kid, right before even microwaves came out. Like I remember when my parents brought home the first microwave that we got, and the thing was fucking huge. It was this gigantic thing, and like the door on it was bigger than our garage door, for fuck's sake. And but it worked, and everyone was like, "Oh, you guys have microwave? That's cool." Yeah. And she's like, "No microwave shaming. Microwaves are fine, people. They're safe. They're fine. All they do is
reheating soup.
Well, for heating, you can cook in them too, man. If you use special types of containments and stuff like that, you can actually cook pretty good shit in there.
You can cook the right kind of stuff in them, yeah.
Sure.
And all it does water for tea in them.
Well, you don't need to really, because it doesn't take that long to do it on a kettle.
Have a kettle like a civilized person. All right, let's go down some of these questions over here.
Sure.
Rory asks, what did Neil do in the Israeli Defense Force?
I was never actually in the military. I went through their boot camp with the option to join, because by the time we finished boot camp, I would have been there for the 3 years necessary to actually join. And they weren't going to force us because we weren't Israeli citizens, so to speak. So what happened was I did the whole boot camp thing, and we did some low level paratrooping, and we learned how to drive tanks, and we did desert survival, and we did all kinds of shit. And then my parents were like, "No, come home." So I had to come home.
Okay. We have another question up here from Nevada. What's your favorite chemical reaction?
This one, technically, it is a chemical reaction, actually, but it's the one that probably made me laugh the most. Is my boss, who knows nothing about chemistry, decided to mix sulfuric acid and water together, and I just stood back, went, "Oh yeah," and then it just was like boom all over the place. And I'm like, Jeremy, you should probably go wash that off right now. Because acid and water do not mix. Do not mix. So.
And another question from Nevada. What's your favorite element?
Helium. The reason being, yeah, because of what it does to your voice. And there's the other one. Is it? What's the other one that makes your voice lower? Is that barium?
I think it is, but I'm not sure. It's one it's a heavier one. I watched whatever one it was. I'm not certain it is barium, but whichever one it was, I watched someone talk with it in their lungs, And because it was heavier than air rather than lighter like helium, he had to stand on his head in order to start talking normally again, so that it would fall out.
But I think name-wise, I like yttrium.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, here's one that I need you to explain to me.
What's that?
Brian Stevens says, my favorite reaction is that.
Nitrate ester.
I'm not even going to attempt to read it.
And purified oxygen. Wait, what? Wait a second. Are you describing a fart? Penterithiol? I don't think I've ever done that one, so I couldn't tell you.
All right then. What else do we have in here?
I don't know, but just Jesus is Lord guy's flying off the handle though.
Oh, he's in there again. I suppose we'll bring up a question from Jesus is Lord. A question for me and for you. Why is Math Pig such a coward? It's because he's Irish and he's a potato.
You'd have to ask Math Pig Jesus is Lord. So.
Okay. So another one from Rory.
Does Neil? No, I do not own a Harley Davidson. As a matter of fact,
do you own a motorcycle?
I know currently no. The last one I owned was in the 90s. I was talking to Aaron Raw about this one because he has a bike now, and I'm like, fuck, I should get a bike just so I can go biking with you.
Yeah. But, I've considered actually getting one of the like a really. Oh, when I did the driving licenses, the driving license came with. You also became licensed for like a small motorbike up to a certain level of engine size. I don't know very much about vehicle engines, so I can't tell you the details, but I would be able to go and get like a small motorbike that doesn't go very fast and wouldn't really be able to go on the motorway, which would actually be quite useful for just getting between local places. So I've considered doing that, but I haven't actually done it yet.
Why not?
Reasons. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Critical Cripple. You've said the stuff for me.
By the way, guys, just so you know, actually, Nervardi, I would absolutely agree with you on the bismuth.
Right.
Bismuth is a beautiful, beautiful.
Now, Neil will know what this sound means.
Oh yeah, he's cracking open the mead.
Mead time. I got this mead.
Oh yes, Brian. Now I understand what you're talking about now.
I got this mead with Orla Seraph.
Really?
Yep.
Does she make it? Or
no? We went on a little trip. I was badger napped.
You were badger napped. Bismuth basically looks like a rainbow. That's why it looks so cool.
Okay, let me find. Have you looked up the definition of no true Scotsman known as proper application yet? Yes.
Oh, I already knew what it was, even when we were talking about it. You just seem to have a different definition for something.
Oh, Angie.
Oh, no. Let's not be mean.
I don't mind being mean occasionally, but
I like JL's other question.
if you do want to come on Jesus Lord and have a chat with me sometime, I'm aware that we tried to arrange it before and it all fell apart because my schedule went completely down the toilet, but we could try and arrange it again at some point because my schedule's about to go down the toilet again.
You've heard of everlasting gobstoppers, right? Jesus is Lord. He's got an everlasting cigar. Every time he's in my stream or I'm in his stream, he's got that thing's always the same length. It's, just, it's like the cigars from fucking Narnia or something.
Okay, from Nerdy Rodent. Say you were trapped on an alien planet with a crew member trapped under ice.
Ooh, I'm hearing Metallica in my head now.
Would the local magnesium-rich rocks be sufficient to free them from the ice in 2 hours?
How much ice are they trapped under? Because magnesium...
I'm going to say they are trapped under 3 meters of ice.
Didn't they just do that in that reboot of Lost in Space?
Possibly.
Yeah. Well, if you had enough of it, you could get them out of there. Sure. yeah, I know now. Because not only you just add the oxygen, then you throw out some, technically, I guess, methane, and it's just going to amplify everything.
There was one here somewhere. Where is it? Ask Neil if he's related to Diamond Dallas Page.
And the other one was Kevin Nash. No, I'm not related to either one of them.
Related to Kevin Nash.
But that was funny. Yeah.
Here's a good question from Nerdy Rodent.
Like Jesus Lord, how do Muslims evangelize? The next line says, "Boom."
Well, not all of them.
No, of course. We'll call them extremists. Those are the ones.
Okay.
That was pretty funny, Jesus Lord. Would you prefer to study a neutron star or a black hole? That's a good question. I think I'd be... Neutron stars, as fucking crazy powerful as they are, we can at least actually probably study them if we figured out how to. But black holes, that's a whole other ball of wax, right? We're talking, you get too close to that shit, it's instant fucking spaghettification. So I'd be really curious to know if we ever figured out a way to get something into a black hole. I'd probably want to know that for sure.
I have a question for you, actually. Should we do an after party?
That's up to you, man.
That might be fun. All right. What's this?
Has Neil made milk into a plant? No, I have not. I've seen it done, but I have not done it myself. And I can't remember what the fuck they add to it to do that now. It's escaped me.
Okay, question for you.
And it's pretty neat looking, actually, when they do that.
I don't know what that would look like.
What?
This plasticity milk substance. Would it mean the milk goes rubbery?
Hardens, pretty much.
Hardens. Okay.
Yeah. I think it's a reaction that.
So does it become like a hard plastic kind of substance?
Give Neil 15 minutes to go to the loo. Yeah, you're hilarious. Eh?
Oh, it's vinegar, apparently.
Yes, vinegar. Yeah, it really. That wasn't okay because I think there was vinegar involved, but they had something else too, and it literally hardened the milk, not just made it rubbery like vinegar can do. Vinegar basically just curdles milk. So
interesting.
Which is basically acetic acid as well. So
see, I like vinegar only in like small portions on chips.
I like malt vinegar on chips. I'm a big fan of malt vinegar.
But I've been finding that it's actually you've been to England, right?
Yes, I have.
You've been to a chip shop in England.
Fucking, I made it one of my reasons to be there.
Outstanding.
Have actual British fish and chips. So yeah,
that's good. You're a man of culture, I see.
Oh, it's fucking delicious. Still the best I've had. Well,
so did you get the salt and vinegar?
Yeah.
Now, I have not been able to properly replicate the way they put salt and vinegar on the chips in the chip shop. Because I think they have like a special like spreading spray bottle they use for the salt, the vinegar.
The vinegar.
And I haven't. I think I would have to get like a hairdresser's spray bottle and fill it with vinegar to achieve the same effect.
Probably, yeah. You can just buy any generic spray bottle; it'll do the same thing, man.
No, it's got to be a high quality one.
Why?
This is for proper chips. I'm not talking about a bullshit back alley chips here.
Bullshit, Becca. Hey, buddy, want to buy some chips?
Not from you, you toothless goon.
Walk over to it. I was like, oh, it's right under here. I got some chips.
Chips under the trench coat. All right. Here's a question for you then.
All right.
Ballpoint pens or fountain pens?
Okay. I like fountain pens, but I use ballpoint pens most of the time because fountain pens can get a little messy. So there you go.
The reason I ask that is I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
And I find personally, I don't think this applies to everybody in the same boat as me, but I find personally it is much easier for me to write with a fountain pen because I have a tendency to grip a pen far too hard. And with a ballpoint pen, my hand actually seizes up after a few lines.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
So I use a fountain pen because it's like, flows across the paper. Whereas a ballpoint pen, it's like fucking trying to write with a chisel when you don't have a mallet.
Like trying to hammer letters into a piece of fucking rock.
Yeah, I'm hammering them with my face.
I use ballpoints mostly, but I do have a couple of fountain pens that I like to use.
I've recently received an order of fountain pens, which I ordered because I wanted some nice ones, but I wanted like a multi-buy pack of them because my last fountain pen broke in the process of getting in and out of a vehicle. So I was very upset by that. So I've got these in a multi-pack, and they're a bit more sturdy than the previous one because they're made of wood.
Oh wow, cool!
The actual
very
like
environmentally friendly there, Benjamin.
Yeah, the actual structure of the pen is made out of wood, and it's a little bit thicker than the plastic of the previous pen, and it writes really smoothly. Actually, I'm very pleased with these pens. And I've just got ink all over my hand while I've been waving this around. That is the downside of a fountain pen, but I don't mind that. It makes me look eccentric. So, the notes for questions to ask you that I wrote on the toilet, I wrote with my new fountain pen.
Oh wow, cool! There you go. I used to like those old school pens, like calligraphy pens, where you have to dip it in the ink and then write.
I do have a couple of those actually. I've got one that I don't use generally, but sits on my desk looking nice, and I have a quill that sits in the other room, also looking nice.
I made a quill once, but I stuffed a Bic pen thing in it, so I could just write just as a feather.
Well, you know the kind of nib on a fountain pen.
Mm-hmm.
The quill that I have is not like it's not like a proper medieval quill where they've carefully carved and split the end of the feather. It's a feather, but kind of with the end of a fountain pen attached to it, so you then dip that in the ink.
Cool. There you go. Cool.
It writes quite nicely, but it's a bit scratchy.
Yeah, they tend to be.
I don't use it very often. I use it if I'm writing something that's particularly special.
Cool. Like a letter to the loved ones.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I won't write the whole thing with it, but I'll sign it with the quill.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And here's a question from Rory to me, but I would like to ask you the same question.
I do have a sealing wax and a signet ring.
See, I actually don't, and I feel like this is a big oversight on my part.
Yeah,
I've been meaning to get a seal wax. Yeah,
the little square wax rods that they give you. You melt them and you seal it like that.
Yeah, I've been meaning to get one of those, but I haven't got around to it yet, and I don't have the right sort of thing to use as a seal.
Mine is basically it's got kind of a Celtic-y knot ring around a star.
Oh, nice.
Or like that one there. So, yeah. So that's basically what mine is. It's kind of cool. It's some form of Celtic coat of arms or some shit. Yeah, it's from back in my pagany days. That was when I got it. Got it at a store here in Granville Island called Dragon Space, which is still one of my favorite stores. And
nice.
It's really, really cool. It's expensive. It cost me almost $100 for the set. So
I do have a little thing here. It's it's one of those little ink stamp sets.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a load of, I think, Chinese or Japanese characters. I actually forgot.
Cool.
On stamp sets, and it's got honor, joy, grace, kindness, happiness, healthy, beauty, and dragon.
Random, just throw dragon in there with all that.
On stamps.
It sounds like
I occasionally, when I'm sending envelopes, I just kind of stamp these all over it for a laugh.
It sounds just by the way you describe it, it definitely sounds like it's Chinese in origin.
Yeah, looking at the characters, I think they're probably Chinese, but I actually don't really know. I kind of know what some of the Japanese ones look like because I used to regularly do a Japanese martial art, but I don't actually know what they are supposed to look like, so I can't really tell the difference. I just have a vague kind of idea in my head.
No problem.
All right. What questions have I got for you?
I thought you read them off already.
Yeah, I've run out of questions on my bit of paper. I'm just seeing if I can think of any.
Oh.
Where?
Should I be scared?
Where did the bandana originally come from?
Oh, that's easy. Right around, I think, as I wore them off and on when I was younger. There's actually pictures of me back in the day when we used to go for coffee and you could see me with a cigarette and you could still smoke in restaurants. And I had a bandana, but I only wore bandanas back then like once or twice a month. And the wearing it
special occasion bandana, was it?
Yeah, it's like when we're going out for coffee. And by around 99, 2000, I started a job and my hair wasn't like this long. It was only up to about here, I think. But it was all literally almost all one length.
Yeah.
And that's when I started doing my painting. I became a painter. So doing like drywalling and painting. So I started wearing it just to keep it. And then it just caught on from there. I'm like, you know what? I dig this because it just keeps my hair out of my face all the time. And the longer it got, the more necessary it became. Because if I don't wear it, then my hair just flies all over the fucking place. I'm like Medusa or something. Shit flying everywhere. Hair's going and getting buddy next to me is popcorn at the movie theater, for fuck's sakes.
All right. So it's a functional bandana as well as kind of a fashion statement.
Yeah. Yeah. Now people have just gotten so used to it that they would die of shock if I walked around without one on. So it's literally been 20 years since I started wearing this thing. So well. And it keeps the fucking sun off my head too, right? So there you go. And it's not like I live in the Sahara or anything like that. I do live in Vancouver, and it is a rainforest. But
that's
in the summer time, it's hot.
The sun out of the old face there.
Yeah.
Okay. Another little question for you, actually. You have interesting facial hair going on.
Okay.
If you know what I mean. You've got kind of like a whole kind of, you've got like a maze going on your chin there.
Maze. Well, years ago, in the probably mid 90s, I used to wear just like a goatee, your standard fucking, or as it's actually called, I think it's a Van Dyke or something, but it's a goatee kind of thing, where all this area. And I never had sideburns before, and then one day I was just super hair. I hadn't shaved in forever. And I saw a picture of a guy who had something similar to, I said, I need to do something unique with my facial hair. And then I just started playing around with it. And I'm kind of like, hey, I could do I was going to actually do like the where you oh wait, I keep going fucking backwards here, where I grow all this kind of like a solid thing like this, kind of like Riker.
Oh yeah.
Cyber. And then I thought, you know what, let's fucking split it
So
here.
a bit of
So
a
I
gap
have
there, yeah.
so I have like a sideburn coming down here, and then this one will come this way, and like they can sort of over top of each other. And my buddy Eric at the time was like, "That sounds stupid," and then I went and did it, and I came out and I'm going, "Well, what do you think?" He goes, "It actually looks pretty fucking cool," and I've never seen anyone with that before. So I'm like, "Okay, good, I like it." And everyone always wonders how the fuck that must take forever. I'm like, 5 minutes forever, sure. It takes me, but you get used to it, right? So I get in and we're done.
Well, I think that's all the questions I got for now.
I think.
So, do you fancy doing an after party?
Hang on. If Neil let his hair down, would it reach his scrotum? It might. Right now it is, but I'm sitting, so. But no, it's not quite that long.
Well, I think that's for you, Neil, because I'm not wearing one.
Will I take the bandana off now? If you want me to take it off, I'll take it off. I did it, yesterday in the after party.
That's true. You did. I've seen it.
He witnessed. I have witnesses, but we all know how well we consider eyewitness testimonies to be these days.
That's true.
Especially biblical ones.
Well, what do you reckon? Should we do an after party?
Sure, if you want. I could stick around for about another hour for sure.
Well, let's do one and see what we do. I shall put a little doodly do in the chat here. So if anyone wants to join for the after party, there is a StreamYards link for you. I'll just set the bloody thing up, and I almost got the whole process up while doing it.
Or are you just going to leave this one running and get everyone joining here?
Well, I was going to do a new one so that it's separate for watching it back later on the channel.
Gotcha. So people will just be able to watch the interview and then go in, like I do, 2 different ones.
Yeah, I'm stealing your format, basically.
You're not stealing my format, man.
I thought, well, as I had you on, I'd steal your format as well.
Well, I had you on my channel. Over a year now, I think.
I should come on your channel again sometime.
Well, when I do, you do. Anyways, when you come into the,
I know, but I mean, like as a feature, because I'm so famous now. I think I've got maybe like 4 more subscribers since then.
What are you up to now?
I think it's growing a bit. I'm up to 320 something at the moment.
That's still not bad, Having 3. When I was down like in that area, I'm always like, people actually want to hear what I have to fucking say. That just blows me away, right? So
325. There we are.
There you go. 325. We need to get you up to 420. Then I'll have an excuse to light a joint. I never need an excuse to light a joint, just FYI.
Right, I'm putting the after party link in the place. Right, should we switch over to that one? Do you need to do things before we switch over?
Yeah, I'll go have a quick cigarette and then come back and jump in with you.
Yeah.
As Dave likes to say, I got to go take my 15-minute pee. It's like Mike Myers and Austin Powers.
All right. And I have to say, no, Nerdy, you're the only mean snail pusher around these parts.
Who's pushing around snails? What's wrong with you people?
Oh, there's a whole thing going around. I did one of my nature videos. I've been cleaning out all the footage from my nature camera because I've got like literally gigabytes of it clogging up my hard drive. So I've been trying to like put it up on the channel so that I can actually get rid of the raw files. And there's little mice that live in the garden. So I had the bird feed, the ground feeding little bird feeder, and at night all the snails just crawl all over the thing, or slither because it's snails, and the little mouse came out, jumped up climbed up the side of this little bird feeder, and started eating the little fat pellets. But in the process of doing it, the mouse knocked one of the snails off.
Oh.
So ever since then, Nerdy Rodent is a mean snail pusher.
Oh boy. You mean bastard, pushing around those snails. I don't think they can like run away from you, or slither or whatever the fuck they do. Slime away from you.
Well, they do, but just very slowly.
Yeah.
Right.
Turbo.
I'm sending you the link to the after doodle.
The after doodle.
And should we move to the? Right, should we move to the after doodle?
We should move to the after doodle.
Right.
That's a hell of a doodle. I'm going to have a
outstanding. I shall see you shortly in the after doodle. I've put the streamers thing. It is scheduled for a time, but I'm just going to set it live once we're ready.
Okay, that's what I do.
All right. See you shortly.
All right. Bye, guys. Oh, there.
Bye. What's your words?
My words that I always close with.
Yeah, go with those. Because I always end up saying mine just after you say
it. Well, like I say on my show, you mean? Let's do
that.
It's called faith because it's not knowledge.
Boobies.